Imagine two people looking at the exact same event, hearing the same words, seeing the same scene, and perhaps possessing the same information. Yet one reaches one judgment, while the other reaches a completely different one. So where does the difference lie? In the event itself, or in the eye that sees it? Here, we reach something deeper than mere ideas, because thought is not simply what goes on inside your head, but the way you arrange what you see, what you hear, what you know, what you doubt, and what you believe. But the more dangerous question is, are you the one shaping your thought, or is your thought shaping the way you see yourself and the world? And this is where the real story begins. Because what we discover in the full episode may make you look at some of your old ideas in a completely different way. Watch the full story on Islam by English, because the part we have not revealed yet is the most important. Thought, in its simplest sense, is not merely a list of ideas inside your head. An idea is something specific. You may be thinking about success, fear, money, love, or death right now. But thought is broader than an idea. Thought is the process through which a person receives things, interprets them, connects them, gives them meaning, and then builds an attitude or judgment from them. And here an important point appears. You do not deal with the world as though you were a neutral camera recording everything exactly as it is. You receive reality through a collection of things that have formed inside you over time. What you learned, what you experienced, what you became accustomed to, what you fear, what you believe, what you expect, and most importantly, the concepts you use to understand things. That is why two people can see the same thing, yet not see the same meaning. Take a simple example. A person receives criticism. They may hear it and say, "He hates me." Another person hears the same words and says, "Maybe he is trying to help me." The event is the same, but the meaning is different. And between the event and the judgment lies an entire space where the structure of thought operates. And this structure does not form in a single day. A child begins life learning the world around them. They learn what safety means, what danger means, what success means, and what failure means. What love means, and what it means to be accepted or rejected. Then come family, school, friends, culture, experiences, the stories they hear, the people they imitate, and the ideas they repeat.
Over time, these things no longer remain merely external information. They begin to form an inner lens through which a person sees the world. And here, we can understand the difference between an idea and thought.
An idea might be, people cannot be trusted. But thought is the system that made this idea seem logical to that person, connected it to their previous experiences, and then made their mind search for evidence that confirms it. Another idea might be, there is good in people. And here too, there is a different way of reading reality behind it. So thought is not merely a storage room for ideas. It is more like a mental map. And a map does not only tell you what exists in front of you, it also helps determine how you interpret what exists in front of you. And here a serious problem appears. A person may forget that what they see is their interpretation of reality and treat it as though it were reality itself. They say, "I am not interpreting things. I see them exactly as they are." But a person may see something, interpret it, and then forget that they interpreted it. From here can arise prejudice, misunderstanding, intolerance, and even some conflicts between human beings. Islam draws attention to this responsibility in a profound way. The Quran does not call people merely to collect information, but repeatedly calls them to reflection, contemplation, observation, and learning from what they see. And this matters greatly, because knowledge alone does not guarantee sound thought. A person may know a great deal and still misunderstand what they know. They may possess a great deal of information, but their problem is not a lack of information. Rather, it is the way they arrange that information and give it meaning. So the more important question is not how many ideas do you have? It is how do you deal with an idea when it reaches you? Do you examine it? Do you ask where it came from? Can you change your mind when you discover that you were wrong? Can you distinguish between what you actually know and what you merely assume? Can you say, I don't know. These questions reveal something about how you think, more than the list of ideas you carry. So we can say, thought is not only what you think about, but the way you think about what you think about. And here we reach something deeper. Perhaps the most dangerous things in a person's mind are not the ideas they know they hold, but the ideas that have become so deeply rooted inside them that they no longer see them as ideas at all. They have become for them obvious truths. And this is where the journey of real awareness begins. To stop for a moment and ask, am I truly seeing the world as it is, or as my mental structure has allowed me to see it?